What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So the conversation continues because I think it's a very interesting topic to point out. I'm focusing today on the game Evil West, its performance across the platforms, the nature of the game, it seems like an action adventure game, probably controlled areas. I don't think it's a fully blown open world. And there are questions as to why this game is probably not running at 60 FPS on an Xbox Series S. Now, keep in mind that the game on the Series X and the PlayStation 5 are going to be running at 60 FPS 1080, but on Twitter, I don't know if you guys watched my last few videos, some people complained that 1080p was not enough. Some people said it should have probably been running at 1440p. Now, this makes me laugh a little bit because, I've already mentioned that on the box of your Xbox Series X and on the box of your PlayStation 5, there is a significant marker that says 4K 120 FPS or up to. And then in the fine print, they basically tell you that it's only available for, software that can support it. Now, here's the funny thing. The Series S, even though it is a good console, is still a limited device. Because 4K 120 FPS, let's just even go up the way to the Series X itself. 4K 120 FPS is not something that you can easily achieve in many video games. I don't even know where you're going to be able to get, a thing like that to just run on a bunch of video games. Yes, on those consoles, you can achieve it on some games, but those games are not going to be in the same nature, quality, depth of detail like, other games that you should be, wanting maybe that kind of quality for. In fact, a game like God of War, which basically is one of the, better looking games on PC, in order for you to be able to run it at 4K 110 FPS, you're going to be using a device like an RTX 4090. This is not a joke. In fact, when I looked through some of the benchmarks, I was very shocked as to how the game was very, very tasking on a device that much. Now, I thought to myself, no way this game is going to be drawing that kind of, money. But I was very surprised to see that somebody actually went ahead and did the benchmarks. They actually played a lot of the game, a huge portion of the game, and they actually had the benchmarks running on the side. And you could see the game was running around 100, to 120 to 140 FPS, but the, frame rates were staggering. And you probably have to go with an average that it was probably running somewhere around 120 FPS overall if you were to want to maybe go ahead and take a look at it. In fact, if you're wondering if this is actually a thing, here it is here on YouTube. So you can run about 132, look on the top left corner, 140 FPS, to be able to play God of War, but you're going to be using a 4090. A 4090, the load is going to be at 99%. So it's using pretty much almost 100% of the GPU's power to be able to accomplish this, and then rocking an i9 12900K to be able to go ahead and do something like this. So if you were to consider how a 4090 and an i9 12900K are more powerful than your Series X and Series S, then you will know that God of War Ragnarok, God of War 2018, I guess we shouldn't even talk about Ragnarok yet, cannot run at 4K 20 FPS on those consoles. It's not possible. This is not the way these machines are designed. Now, going back to the Series S, you also have to take into consideration that this is a much smaller device. It's a much smaller, I would say, unit to be able to, pull out all of this stuff from an engineering perspective. In fact, it's actually just as big as the RTX 4090 Founders Edition. This is crazy. It's not even as big as, it's actually less, slightly smaller. If you look at, say, maybe the AIB models, the device itself is not even as big as, say, the ROG Strix 4090, which is one of the bigger versions out there. So when you think about the engineering capabilities of what these new video games or what these new hardware are able to push out, you already know that from the engineering perspective, a console is going to remain limited. And I'm saying this because, I'm having some ongoing conversations about this with, folk that are finding my channel or talking about this, because I want you guys to basically understand and see that, a console is a computer. It's just basically what it is. We used to call these things computer games back in the day. But from an engineering perspective, a computer of that size already will have its limitations for heat dissipation. In order for you to punch out these frames, you got to be able to find a place to dump the heat. I mean, if you look at a lot of the different, aspects, your CPU temperature here is running at like 40 degrees. This person is using some really good cooling systems. Usually liquid cooling is what's going to be running. And then the GPU is running at like 58, 57, degrees as well. The reason is easily because the 4090 uses a bigger cooler than a lot of the other, previous models of GPUs. And so that's one of the reasons it's actually really big. That's my own, thought process anyways, because I've watched a lot of tear down, a lot of breakdown of the hardware itself. Inside of these, other, units or devices, you don't even have that much cooling. You don't even have a big case that will allow for you to be able to run airflow. So already, even if the machine could even run a video game of that at that, quality, it would have to throttle and basically work on its own heat capacity in order for the hardware not to explode. And even your CPU and your GPUs, they do that. Whenever they reach a load that they can't handle, what they do is they slow down their performance in order for them not to overheat or whatever it is. Unless maybe you undervolt, or, if you were overclocking, you'd have to use really solid cooling solutions that are not available on your consoles. So this is not a slight at the Series S. The Series S was, in my opinion, a genius way in terms of Microsoft bringing, in quote, next gen to the availability and affordability of everyone. But it did not in any way find itself where it could harness all video games at that point. If you even wanted to maybe do a game like Evil West to run at 60 FPS, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying the way the game has been built, the texture quality, the way the, sound files and everything that's put into a video game is done, you would have to basically lower the quality of a lot for a specific version of the game that is basically for a small select console itself. Logistical wise, it doesn't make any sense to make your game not look the best that it can look when it's coming out. And so you really want to go ahead and make sure that the game has what you think is the best visual fidelity. When your effects are, this is a very VFX heavy game. I mean, fire everywhere. You're fighting bad guys. There's, sparks flying everywhere. There's, blood splatter or whatever, organic matter when you knock out these bad guys. Man, all of that by itself is going to chew through a Series S's GPU without any problems. You'll be having frame drops like crazy if the machine is not even strong enough to get the job done. So I think this is a call for gamers to start to take their game development or at least to take their gaming to a whole different level by understanding the nuances of game development and the technical sides and how different they all are. Because I think it will really serve us in our conversations so that we're not mistaken and having, false expectations. If this game was Fortnite, it would run pristinely well. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? It will run 120 FPS at 4K or whatever. I mean, the Series S cannot do 4K, or whatever it is, but it's a different game. And so I wanted to make sure that I iterate this one more time, and I'll probably make another video about it because, again, the conversation is going on. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are. I can understand that you expect, or somebody may expect this, but the reality is not necessarily as simple as it is. 4K 60 FPS is not something that is just so easy to accomplish, or 4K 120 FPS. The cost of that is not only just the engineering marvel, but then the financial side of things. A $290 console probably ain't gonna cut it for every video game. I mean, obviously, you would think that was obvious, right? Peace out.